You Bet rolls on Radio Row, San Francisco, California, on this Thursday. Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM. Joining me on the show, someone I've known for a long time, the great.
Oh, well.
Greg Cosell, NFL Films, and you can check it out all week long. It's airing on ESPN and ESPN2. I'm on this
matchup show, yeah.
So I do 2 shows every NFL Sunday morning, and I watch the NFL matchup show when I get to the office on Sunday, every single Sunday on ESPN. Greg Cosell joining me here on the show. Greg, I've known you for like 20 years since we were together at Sirius XM NFL Radio. How's it going, my man?
Good. And just, it's funny you mentioned the matchup show because it's been a while. I created that show, believe it or not, in 1984. Think about that. We've been on the air every year since 1984.
Give us your.
Were you born then?
83.
Oh, there you go.
So 1 year. So basically.
So you started watching it when you were 1, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah. So this is true. The first year that I watched I've been an obsessive NFL fan since 90.
There you go.
My first Super Bowl is 24. Niners 55, Broncos 10 in New Orleans. And I've basically been watching you guys, like you and Sal Pal and Jaws and others on the show, basically for like almost my entire life. That's pretty amazing, man.
It is.
Like no shows have runs like that. You guys have.
No, we've been on. I think we're the longest running studio show that's in football. And obviously Jaws did it for years, Merrill Hodge. I think I just finished my 8th year, I believe, being on the show. I created it. I produced it for you. Now we have a producer, obviously, because I can't do both. We have someone named Todd Schmidt who does a great job. But, it's been a great run. It's been an unbelievable run.
Let's talk some ball.
Sure.
Patriots, Seahawks. The matchup that will decide Super Bowl 60 is what and why?
Wow. You know me, Nick. There's so many variables to these games. I think that, the way I look at this game is it's really a defensive game to me. Now, again, you never know how a game plays out with turnovers, okay? But I think both of these defenses, and the Seahawks get a lot more publicity than the Patriots, but I think both of these defenses are really, really good. And as I look at this game and study it and evaluate it, if it's a normal game and teams have long fields, again, you never know with turnovers, I just don't see how teams are necessarily going to put together 11, 12, 13 play yard drives with any kind of consistency against these defenses. So, again, having said that, then do you start thinking about big plays? And those are hard to get against both of these defenses. So, to me, both of these defenses are kind of the defining units of this game.
I say what I'm about to say in the most complimentary way. I use this phrase a lot, in the weeds. And I use it in the best, like I'm in the weeds with the stuff that I really love.
Right.
You are in the weeds in the best way when it comes to breaking down film. So everybody's been kind of saying this week, and the first couple times I heard it, Greg, I was like, well, I agree with that. Okay. And the more I hear it, the more I'm like, do I actually agree with this? Because I think it's become a refrain amongst a lot of people, which is the Seahawks are better than New England 2 through 53. But Drake Maye is definitely better than Sam Darnold. And the more I think about that, and this is not an anti-Drake Maye thing, are we so sure that Drake Maye is like that much better than Sam Darnold? Like, where do you stand on the quarterback battle in this game?
I mean, again, now we're just isolating the quarterback, right? Is that what we're doing?
Correct.
Okay. Because obviously there's so many factors as to why a quarterback plays well or doesn't play well. But I think if you're isolating the quarterback, boy, I think their traits, you could argue, are somewhat similar. Because of Darnold's history in the league until last year with Minnesota, and certainly this year with Seattle, there was a sense that he really was not that good a player. But you're dealing with both quarterbacks who are about 6'4", 225, big arms, mobile. I don't see, if you're just talking about the quarterback as an isolated player, as a separate issue, I don't think that's the case at all.
I agree with you. Outside of the quarterbacks, give me the player that you think will be central to his team winning the game coming up on Sunday.
Wow. I think that the Seahawks want to and need to have an effective run game. I think Kenneth Walker is a huge deal in this game. I think, again, over the last month, he's been very much a different back, Nick, than he was prior. Prior, he was a guy that looked to bounce almost everything. And yes, he has big playability. But when you get into tough games, late in the season games, playoff games, Super Bowls, hard yards matter more than anything. When it's 1st and 10, getting 3 yards is obviously way better than trying to bounce and losing one. Okay, and I think over the last month, Walker has done a much better job of getting hard yards, running inside, and keeping them, to use the cliche but true, on schedule. On the other side of the ball, believe it or not, the guy that fascinates me is Milton Williams.
He's so, and it's so funny, right? And you know this better than anyone, right? You break down these teams so well. Generally, when you see a team like what New England did this past offseason, and they spend tons of money in free agency, it feels like it's not going to work for whatever the reason. And yet with the Patriots and what they were able to do with Milton Williams and Carlton Davis and Landry and Diggs.
Spillane.
It feels like they're all really good. And Milton Williams, and you saw when he exited the lineup, and now that he's back, what a difference he's made. And obviously was a monster, Greg, in last year's Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs.
So the big question is, how many times will Williams line up at left defensive tackle so he goes against Bradford? Because very often he's the right defensive tackle. And, of course, that would be the rookie Zabel, who's had a very good season. But I think Williams could beat him too. But it'll be interesting to see how Seattle handles that in pure pass situations. Do they slide their line that way? Does Vrabel and the defensive staff create fronts where they can't slide the line that way? Because you can do that with your front. You can dictate how an offense protects by how you line up with your defensive front, which includes second-level players as well. So I think that's a real critical in-the-weeds element of this game, how the Patriots line up in pure pass situations to give Milton Williams ideally one-on-one matchups. And just one other point about that defense, I think two players who are totally overlooked, who are really good for the Patriots, are their safeties. I think the rookie Craig Woodson has had a terrific season, and the other safety, Hawkins, they're interchangeable. Both can line up in the box. Both can line up as overhang players at the second level, and both can play on the back end. So I just think you're dealing with these defenses, as I said, really stand out to me.
What's so funny is I remember in the summer, Greg, when Kyle Duggar was going to move on, thinking, well, if they're going to do that, then the guys behind him are probably really good. And so it certainly turned out to be the case. Greg Cosell here with us on You Better You Bet, NFL Films, NFL Matchup Show, airing all week this week on ESPN and ESPN2. I'm excited to ask you specifically this question because of how intently you watch film. So Mike MacDonald is kind of referred to, right, as the defensive Sean McVay, like the next great defensive coach. I watch football in a way that, like, I see their defense is great, but I don't see the intricacies of what's going on the way like you do, or people that watch film do. What is it? Because I think we all know Vrabel's a great coach, right? What is it that sets Mike MacDonald apart as a defensive coach?
I think a couple of things. First of all, I think people know that they played more man coverage in the championship game than they have all season, but that was likely a function of the fact that the Rams played a lot with three tight ends. But I think ultimately, the way they've played all year, foundationally, they play with two deep safeties. Okay, they play top down, so they don't play a lot of single high safety coverage. Even when they pressure, a lot of their pressures, they keep that sort of four across on the back end, so they don't give up big plays. It's very much like Steve Spagnuolo has done for years, sort of with pressure, but with kind of a 4-2 look on the back end. But then you start to get into individuals. They've really found something, and I loved him coming out. They really found something in Nick Emenwari.
He's a monster,
They play, in a sense, big nickel. They play big nickel, meaning three safeties, almost as their base defense, and then they play dime. And Emenwari is a second-level player. So he's essentially a Sam linebacker who can play in the box. He can play overhang just outside the box. He can line up and erase tight ends in man coverage. And as we've seen all season long, and we saw it in the NFC Championship game, they are totally comfortable with him matching up man-to-man on wide receivers. He matched up to Davante Adams at times and knocked down passes. So Emenwari is so key. But I think where it really starts is with Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams. I mean, this is a game, both defensive tackle units in this game, because you have Barmore and Williams for the Patriots, but Murphy and Williams are really dominant. And then they bring in Jaron Reed. They've got a trio that's really, really good.
Do you think the Patriots will stop JSN or contain JSN on Sunday?
It's a great question. People always assume, just line up, Gonzalez on him. Well, if you do that, that affects all your other players too. It's not just, okay, let's match up Gonzalez. Now, if you're playing, first of all, do you want to play pure man all the time, and they don't. But then if you're playing zone, now all of a sudden you've got Carlton Davis, the other corner, who has to play on a side he's not used to. There's different techniques, different leverage. Other players have different techniques and different leverage. With 2 weeks, you can probably teach some of that. So it's very possible you could see that. But don't forget what Seattle does with JSN is they move him around a lot. He is not a stationary player in terms of where he lines up. They use him in pre-snap movements, shifts, motions. At times he's in the backfield. So he's a difficult player to say you got him and that's it.
You've already started your work on the NFL draft.
Oh, I have.
So you told me off air you've watched some of the quarterbacks already. You watched Ty Simpson. You've watched Fernando Mendoza. Now, I am not going to name the name here because I don't think this person would want me to name the name. But someone who I think you and others would trust their opinion on the quarterback position that I spoke to this week told me that he thinks Fernando Mendoza is not going to be a good NFL player and that he thinks the Raiders are going to be up against it. I'm not going to say who it was. What is your opinion thus far? Because I thought that was so interesting to hear that from someone I respect. What is your opinion thus far on Mendoza?
I wouldn't say not be a good NFL player, but I think he's a specific kind of player. I think at his core, he's a ball distributor and an executor of a well-schemed offense with plus mobility to, get a first down once in a while, but he's not a playmaker with his legs. I think he needs a scheme. I think he needs a run game. I think he needs a team. I don't view him, and I've watched a good amount of him up to this point. I'll probably watch even more, but I've seen enough where I feel comfortable speaking about him. I think that ultimately he's an executor. He's not.
Is he a worthy number 1 overall pick of the draft? And it's early.
This way. I don't think he's at the level of a prospect of the Cam Williams, the Drake Mays, the Cam Wards. I don't think he's at that level of prospect. Now, can he be a good NFL quarterback? Yes, with other factors coming into play. The guy that fascinates me, and again, I don't do the thing where I think a guy is going to go higher in the draft. I don't do that. I'm fascinated by Ty Simpson because, he hasn't played enough, and I don't think he's going to be ready to be an NFL player week 1. But just watching his tape, I felt like I saw more in terms of what the projection and transition to the NFL entails with him than I saw with Mendoza. But Again, people listening, I don't want them to think that means I hate Mendoza, but I think Simpson fascinates me more.
Greg, great job. Always love having you on the show. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the success of NFL Matchup and NFL Films. And we will definitely do this as we lead up to the NFL Draft, I hope.
I hope so, too.
The great Greg
Thanks,
Cosell
Nick.
joining us here on You Better You Bet. More show on the other side.